I have been in a relationship with Jessica for 2 years now, and things had been going really well between us. We both brought children into our relationship. I have my 8-year-old daughter Emma, while Jessica has 2 sons, Jake, who is 10, and Tyler, who is 7. When Jessica suggested a family trip to Disney World, I could not have been more excited. This would be our first vacation together as a blended family, and I was already imagining all the memories we would create. But when I looked at the flight details Jessica had sent, my heart sank. There were only 3 tickets. When I asked where my daughter would sit, she shrugged and said, "She can stay with her grandma." If you are watching this video right now, let me know where you are from in the comments below. Go ahead and hit that like button, and subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this one. Trust me, you will want to stick around to see how this family drama unfolds. Life as a single dad has never been easy, but I have always put Emma first since losing my wife to cancer when Emma was just 4 years old. I work as a software developer, which thankfully provides us with a comfortable life and flexible hours, so I can be there for school pickups and dance recitals. It was at one of those school parent meetings that I first met Jessica 2 years ago. Jessica is a graphic designer who divorced her husband after he cheated on her. She has primary custody of her 2 boys, Jake and Tyler. We connected instantly over the challenges of single parenthood, exchanging stories about homework struggles and the impossibility of dating with kids in tow. After a few coffee meetups that turned into dinner dates, we started seeing each other regularly. Introducing our children to each other was a careful process. We waited 6 months before having a casual playdate at a local park. Emma was shy at first, clinging to my leg while eyeing Jake and Tyler cautiously. But kids have a way of breaking down barriers that adults overthink. By the end of that afternoon, Emma was giggling as she raced around with Tyler while Jake showed off his soccer skills. Over the next year and a half, we gradually increased our time together as a group. Weekend outings to the zoo, movie nights with homemade popcorn and holiday celebrations became our new normal. Jessica moved into a house just a few blocks from mine, making it easier for us to blend our daily routines without the pressure of moving in together too soon. As our relationship deepened, I found myself thinking about a future with Jessica. She was smart, creative, and shared my values about raising kind, respectful children. I loved watching her patience with Emma, teaching her how to braid her hair or helping with art projects. I had even started browsing engagement rings online, thinking that maybe it was time to make things official. I always made it a point to treat Jake and Tyler as part of our family. I coached Jake's soccer team even though I barely knew the rules of the game, and I spent hours helping Tyler build elaborate Lego creations. When Jake needed a new laptop for school, I happily contributed to the cost, and I never hesitated to include both boys in birthday and Christmas gifts. I wanted them to know I valued them as individuals, not just as extensions of their mother. Our routine settled into family dinners, at least 3 nights a week, switching between our houses. I remember one night particularly fondly, when all 5 of us made homemade pizza together. There was flour everywhere, and the pizzas came out in strange shapes, but the laughter that filled the kitchen made it one of my favorite memories. Jessica had a good job, but she often mentioned financial stress since her ex-husband was inconsistent with child support payments. I gradually started helping out with some of the boys' expenses. It started small, picking up the tab for school supplies or new sneakers, but eventually expanded to include things like summer camp fees and orthodontist payments for Jake. I never minded this. I figured we were building a life together and money was just a resource to make our family happy. In retrospect, there were signs I should have paid more attention to. Jessica would often organize special outings with just her and her sons, movie premieres, baseball games, weekend trips to visit her parents. Initially, I encouraged this, believing it was important for the boys to have quality time with their mother. Emma and I would have our own daddy-daughter days during these times. But as months passed, the pattern became more noticeable, and the invitations for Emma to join never materialized. I started noticing other small things, too. When Jake accidentally broke Emma's favorite snow globe, a precious gift from her mother, Jessica dismissed it as just an accident and never insisted he apologize. When deciding on dinner, the boys' preferences always seemed to take priority over Emma's. If we were choosing a movie somehow, we always ended up watching superhero films the boys loved, rather than the animated movies Emma preferred. These moments would create a knot in my stomach, but I would push the feelings aside. Relationships require compromise, I told myself. Blending families is complicated. Things would balance out eventually. After a particularly difficult week where Emma had been excluded from a trip to the water park because she might slow the boys down, I finally brought it up to Jessica. We were sitting on my porch after the kids had gone to bed, the summer night warm around us. "I think Emma is feeling a bit left out lately," I said carefully. "Maybe we could make more of an effort to include her in activities with the boys." Jessica sipped her wine before responding. "Gabriel, you know I care about Emma. But my boys have been through so much with the divorce. They need extra attention right now. Emma has you. She is fine." Her answer did not sit quite right with me, but she reached for my hand and changed the subject to her upcoming work project, and I let the moment pass. Jessica promised she would be more mindful of including Emma, and I wanted to believe her. The conversation about Disney World started on a regular Tuesday evening. Jessica came over for dinner, practically bouncing with excitement as she entered my house. "I have amazing news," she announced as she set her purse down on my kitchen counter. "I booked a trip to Disney World for spring break. 5 days of magic and fun." The kids who were playing in the living room immediately rushed in with wide eyes and excited questions. "Are we really going to Disney?" Emma asked, her blue eyes shining with anticipation. "When do we leave? Will we see Mickey? Can we go on Space Mountain?" Jake and Tyler fired questions in rapid succession. Jessica laughed and pulled out her phone to show them pictures of the resort where they would be staying. "It has multiple pools, a game room, and we are just a shuttle ride away from all the parks." That evening was filled with excited chatter about which rides they wanted to go on and which characters they hoped to meet. Emma was practically vibrating with joy, talking about how she had always wanted to meet the princesses, especially Elsa. I found myself caught up in their excitement too, mentally calculating how much I should set aside for souvenirs and special experiences. This would be Emma's first trip to Disney, and I wanted it to be perfect. After the kids had gone to bed, Jessica and I sat at my kitchen table with a bottle of wine, looking through the confirmation emails she had forwarded to me. That was when I noticed something odd. The flight reservation only listed 3 names: Jessica, Jake, and Tyler. "There must be a mistake with the booking," I said, scrolling through the email again. "I only see tickets for you and the boys. Where are Emma and I on this itinerary?" Jessica took a long sip of her wine before responding. "Well, I thought it might be nice for the boys and me to have some quality time. You know, we have not had a vacation, just the 3 of us, since before the divorce." I stared at her, trying to process what she was saying. "But you presented this as a family trip. Emma is already excited about it." Jessica sighed. "I know, and maybe I should have been clearer. But honestly, Gabriel, Disney is so expensive. I could only afford the 3 tickets. You know, I would have been happy to pay for Emma and myself," I said, my confusion turning to hurt. "Why would you not even give me that option?" "I thought Emma could stay with her grandmother while we are away," Jessica said with a casual shrug. "She loves spending time with your mom, right?" I felt as though I had been slapped. The casual way she had excluded my daughter from what was positioned as a family trip left me speechless. In that moment, it was as if I were seeing Jessica clearly for the first time, and I did not like what I saw. "Did you ever intend to include Emma and me?" I asked quietly. "Of course I want you there," Jessica said quickly. "Just maybe not this time. Money is tight, and the boys have been begging to go to Disney for years." "So have I," came a small voice from the hallway. We both turned to see Emma standing in the doorway in her pajamas. Her stuffed rabbit clutched tightly against her chest. The hurt in her eyes made my heart break. "Emma, honey, you should be in bed," I said gently. "I wanted water," she whispered, her eyes filling with tears. "Am I not going to Disney with Jake and Tyler?" Before I could respond, Jessica jumped in. "We are still figuring things out, sweetie. Adult stuff. Why not let your dad tuck you back in?" I guided Emma back to her room, my mind racing as I tried to figure out what to say to her. As I pulled her covers up, she looked at me with eyes too wise for her 8 years. "Jessica does not want me around, does she, Daddy?" she asked quietly. "That is not true," I said automatically, though the words felt hollow even to me. "It is okay," Emma said, though her trembling lip betrayed her. "I am used to it." Those 5 words, spoken with such resignation, hit me harder than anything else could have. What was I teaching my daughter by staying in a relationship where she was clearly an afterthought? How long had she been getting used to feeling unwanted? I kissed her forehead and promised we would talk more in the morning, but I already knew what I needed to do. Once Emma was asleep, I returned to the kitchen where Jessica was still sitting now, scrolling through her phone as if nothing significant had happened. "We need to talk about this," I said firmly. Jessica looked up, seemingly annoyed at being interrupted. "Gabriel, you are making this a bigger deal than it needs to be. It is just one trip." "It is not just the trip," I said, realizing as I spoke how true this was. "It is a pattern. Emma is consistently treated as an outsider in what is supposed to be our blended family." "That is not fair," Jessica protested. "I have done so much to include her." "Like what I challenged. Name one time in the last month when you have gone out of your way to make Emma feel included." Jessica opened her mouth, then closed it again. Her silence was all the answer I needed. I should have ended things right then, but part of me still hoped this was a misunderstanding that could be fixed. I told Jessica I needed time to think, and she left shortly after, promising to call me the next day. After she left, I started digging through old emails and text messages looking for other instances where Emma had been excluded. What I found made me sick to my stomach. There were at least a dozen occasions over the past 6 months where Jessica had planned activities for the family that somehow never included Emma. The final straw came when I found a text message exchange between Jessica and her friend that she had accidentally synced to the iPad she sometimes left at my house. In it, she complained about having to deal with Gabriel's kid, and mentioned that at least he pays for everything without complaining. She even bragged about how she had used the child support from her ex-husband, intended for summer activities, to put a deposit on the Disney trip, while letting me believe she was struggling to make ends meet. The Jessica, in those messages, was a stranger to me, calculating and manipulative. I thought about all the times I had helped her financially, believing I was supporting our future together. I thought about Emma's face when she realized she had been excluded again, and I knew exactly what I needed to do. I did not confront Jessica immediately. I needed time to plan to make sure I handled this in a way that would protect Emma from further hurt. The next morning I called my mother and asked if she could come stay with us for a few days the following week. I told her I needed help with Emma while I sorted out some work issues, which was not entirely a lie. After dropping Emma at school, I went straight to my laptop and looked up the Disney trip details Jessica had sent me. Since I had contributed a significant amount toward what I thought was our family vacation, I had access to the booking information. With a few clicks, I canceled all 3 tickets, receiving a full refund to my credit card. Next, I researched and booked new tickets for just Emma and me, choosing a departure time about an hour before Jessica's original flight. I selected a different, even nicer resort than the one Jessica had chosen, and splurged on the meal plan that included character breakfasts. Emma would have her princess experience after all. I booked special experiences too. A makeover at the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique for Emma, reserved seating for the fireworks show, and tickets to Mickey's not-so-scary Halloween party. This would be the trip of a lifetime for my daughter, and no one was going to take that away from her. For the next few days, I maintained a facade of normalcy around Jessica. When she mentioned the trip, I would nod or change the subject. I told her I was still processing things but did not want to argue. She seemed to take this as a sign that I was giving in, that I would eventually accept her decision. She was wrong. 3 days before the trip, I sat Emma down and told her I had a surprise. Her face lit up when I revealed we were going to Disney World, just the 2 of us. I explained that we would be going on a special father-daughter adventure and that my mother would be staying at our house to water the plants while we were gone. But what about Jessica and the boys? Emma asked, her brow furrowed in confusion. They have their own vacation plans, I said carefully. This trip is just for us. Emma threw her arms around me, and I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. I had made the right decision. The morning of our departure, I had everything packed and ready by 6 a.m. Emma was too excited to eat breakfast, but I made her have at least some toast and juice before we headed to the airport. My mother waved us off from the doorway, giving me a knowing look. I had finally told her everything the night before, and she fully supported my decision. We arrived at the airport and checked in without incident. As we made our way to the security line, I kept an eye out for Jessica and her boys, knowing they would be arriving soon for their flight, only to discover it had been canceled. Emma and I had just gotten through security and were putting our shoes back on when I heard someone calling my name. Looking up, I saw Jessica marching toward us, her face a storm cloud with Jake and Tyler trailing behind her, looking confused. "Gabriel, what are you doing here?" she demanded, then noticed our luggage. "Are those Mickey Mouse suitcases? What is going on?" I took a deep breath and guided Emma a few steps away from the security area. "Emma and I are going to Disney World," I said calmly. "Our flight leaves in about 40 minutes. Jessica's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean we are going to Disney? The boys and I." "I canceled those tickets," I said quietly. Since I paid for most of them, it seemed fair. Jessica's mouth fell open. "You did what you had no right." Actually, I had every right. The confirmation emails were in my name, and the majority of the payment came from my credit card. By this point, several travelers were watching our exchange with interest. Jessica noticed and lowered her voice to a harsh whisper. "So you just decided to ruin our vacation out of spite. The boys have been looking forward to this for weeks." "So has Emma," I replied steadily. "But you decided she was not worthy of being included. I am simply making other arrangements." Jake tugged at his mother's sleeve. "Mom, does this mean we are not going to Disney?" His disappointment was palpable, and I felt a twinge of guilt, but reminded myself that this situation was not of my making. "I need to talk to Gabriel alone," Jessica said to her sons. "Go sit on those chairs and wait for me." Once the boys were out of earshot, Jessica turned on me, fury in her eyes. "You have no idea how pathetic you look right now, Gabriel. Canceling a children's vacation because your feelings got hurt." "This isn't about my feelings," I said, keeping my voice level. "It is about teaching my daughter that she deserves respect and consideration, something you have consistently failed to show her." "Oh, please," Jessica scoffed. "You are overreacting. It was one trip. It was the latest in a pattern I corrected her. A pattern I should have addressed much sooner." Jessica's expression suddenly shifted to calculation. "Fine. Book us tickets on your flight. We can still salvage this. I am sorry if I hurt your feelings." "Okay. That is not going to happen," I said firmly. "Emma and I are going to enjoy our vacation together. You might want to think about why you felt it was acceptable to exclude an 8-year-old child from a family trip in the first place." "You cannot be serious," Jessica sputtered. "After everything I have done for you, everything you have done for me," I echoed incredulously. "You mean like using me as a walking ATM while treating my daughter as an inconvenience?" Jessica's face flushed. "That is not fair." "I saw your texts, Jessica," I said quietly, "about how I pay for everything without complaining, about how dealing with my kid is such a burden for you." Her eyes widened in shock, then narrowed in anger. "You went through my private messages. They sync to your iPad. The one you leave at my house all the time," I explained. "But that is beside the point. The person in those messages is not someone I want in my life, and definitely not someone I want around my daughter." By this point, Emma had wandered back to my side and slipped her small hand into mine. "Daddy, they are calling our group to board," she said, oblivious to the tension. "We will be right there, sweetie," I assured her with a smile. Jessica looked from me to Emma, seeming to finally understand that this was not a negotiation. "So that is it. 2 years together, and you are just walking away." "I think you walked away first," I said simply. "When you decided that Emma and I were not really part of your family. Enjoy your weekend, Jessica. Emma and I have a flight to catch." As we turned to leave, Jessica called after us, her voice rising. "You cannot do this. You are embarrassing me in front of the entire airport. I did not turn around. Instead, I squeezed Emma's hand and kept walking toward our gate. Behind us, I could hear Jessica still yelling, but her words were lost in the general noise of the terminal. As we settled into our seats on the plane, Emma looked up at me with a serious expression. Is Jessica mad at us? She is disappointed about her trip being canceled. I explained gently. Are you and Jessica going to break up? She asked, her voice small. I paused, considering how to answer truthfully without burdening her. I think so, sweetie. Sometimes adults realize they want different things. Emma nodded thoughtfully. I am sorry you are sad, Daddy. But I am not sorry we are going to Disney, just us. I pulled her into a side hug as the flight attendants began the safety demonstration. I am not sad at all, Emma. I am exactly where I want to be, with exactly who I want to be with. As the plane took off, my phone buzzed with incoming messages from Jessica, but I turned it off without reading them. For the next 5 days, Emma and I were going to focus on having the time of our lives. Our Disney vacation was everything I had hoped it would be and more. Emma's face, when she first saw the castle, her excited squeals on the rides, and her awestruck expression during the fireworks show made every penny worth it. We took hundreds of photos, ate too much ice cream, and stayed up way past her normal bedtime to watch the nighttime parades. The highlight was definitely the princess makeover. Emma was transformed into a miniature Elsa, complete with a sparkling blue dress and a delicate tiara. When she looked in the mirror and gasped with delight, I had to blink back tears. This was what childhood magic should look like. Throughout our trip, my phone continued to buzz with messages from Jessica. I checked them briefly each night after Emma was asleep, but did not respond. They ranged from angry accusations to tearful apologies, to practical questions about when we would be back. I needed the space to think clearly about our relationship without her influence. On our last night at Disney, Emma and I had dinner at a restaurant with a view of the castle. As we shared a chocolate dessert, Emma looked up at me thoughtfully. "Daddy, are you happy?" she asked. The question surprised me. "Of course I am, sweetheart. I've had the best time here with you." "No. I mean, are you happy all the time?" she clarified. "Even when Jessica made you sad, children have an uncanny ability to see right to the heart of things." I considered my answer carefully. I was not always happy, I admitted. Sometimes I let people treat us in ways that were not right because I thought having any family was better than just the two of us. But I was wrong about that. Emma nodded sagely. "I like it when it is just us. But I know you get lonely sometimes." "Being a parent means sometimes putting your child first," I told her. "And you will always, always come first for me, no matter what." Emma smiled and returned to her dessert, but her words stayed with me. I had been so focused on creating a complete family for Emma that I had overlooked the fact that she and I were already a complete family just as we were. When we returned home, Jessica was waiting on our front porch. My mother, who had been staying at our house, gave me a supportive nod as she left to give us privacy. Emma went inside to unpack her souvenirs, leaving Jessica and me alone. "You have been ignoring my calls and messages for 5 days," Jessica said, her voice tight with anger. "Do you have any idea how humiliating that was at the airport?" The boys were devastated. "I am sorry the boys were disappointed," I said sincerely. "But that situation was entirely of your making, not mine." "You could have talked to me instead of pulling that stunt," she argued. "We could have worked something out." "I tried talking to you," I reminded her. "You dismissed my concerns and Emma's feelings. You presented a family vacation that excluded half our family as if that were perfectly normal. What was there to work out?" Jessica's shoulders slumped slightly. "I messed up." "Okay. Is that what you want to hear?" I was trying to do something special for my kids. "At the expense of mine," I pointed out. "And that is the problem, Jessica. In your mind it has always been your kids versus mine instead of our family. That is not fair," she protested, but with less conviction than before. "It is completely fair," I countered. "I have spent 2 years treating Jake and Tyler as if they were my own. I have contributed financially to their needs without hesitation. I have attended their games, helped with their homework, and celebrated their achievements. Can you honestly say you have done the same for Emma? Jessica was silent for a long moment. It is different, she finally said. They are boys. She is a girl. We do not have the same interests. That is an excuse, not a reason, I said. When you love someone, you make the effort to connect with what matters to them. I learned all about Minecraft and superhero movies for your boys. When was the last time you sat down and watched a princess movie with Emma, or asked about her dance class? Jessica had no answer for that. We stood in uncomfortable silence before she spoke again. So that is it. You are ending things over one trip. I am ending things because we have fundamentally different views on what family means, I said. I want a partner who sees my daughter as an essential part of the package, not an inconvenience to be tolerated or excluded when convenient. I never said she was an inconvenience, Jessica protested weakly. You did not have to say it. Your actions made it perfectly clear, I replied. And the text to your friend confirmed it. Jessica flushed with embarrassment. Everyone vents to their friends sometimes. You cannot hold that against me. I am not holding a grudge, Jessica. I am making a decision about the kind of environment I want for my daughter, and this is not it. After a few more attempts to change my mind, Jessica finally accepted that my decision was final. As she turned to leave, she paused. For what it is worth, I do care about Emma, she said quietly. I just did not know how to show it the right way. I believe you, I said, and I did. Jessica was not a bad person, just someone whose priorities did not align with mine. I hope you and the boys will be happy. The following weeks were not easy. Emma missed playing with Jake and Tyler, and I missed aspects of my relationship with Jessica. But gradually we established a new normal. We joined a community theater group, where Emma could pursue her interest in performing, and I connected with a single-parent support group that provided both of us with new friendships. 6 months after the Disney trip, I met Allison at one of Emma's dance recitals. Her daughter Lily was in the same class, and we struck up a conversation during rehearsals. Unlike my relationship with Jessica, things with Allison progressed slowly, and with clear communication about our expectations regarding our children. When Allison and Lily joined us for movie nights or weekend outings, Emma was never an afterthought but an equal participant in all plans. The most important lesson I learned from my experience with Jessica was about boundaries and self-worth. By allowing Jessica to consistently prioritize her children over mine, I had been teaching Emma that it was okay to accept less than she deserved. By standing up for her, I showed her what true love and protection looks like. There is a world of difference between compromise and sacrifice. In a healthy relationship, compromise means everyone's needs are considered and valued. Sacrifice often means someone's needs are consistently ignored for the benefit of others. I no longer confuse the two. Today, Emma is thriving. She knows without a doubt that she is my priority, and that any relationship I enter into will have to honor that truth. As for me, I have learned that being alone is far better than being with someone who makes your child feel unwanted. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice between a relationship and what was best for your child? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help someone else facing a similar situation. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe to hear more about navigating the complex waters of relationships and parenting. Remember that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set a boundary, even when it hurts. Thank you for listening, and I wish you courage in your own journey.